Formation to carry out their higher education service on 17 July in 2020. The university had to partner with the Durrani University, one of the first and best private university in Thailand. Hello.
morning, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. What we would like, is it possible for people to turn on their camera so we can get to see each other today? Okay, excellent.
Good.
So the webinar will start officially at 10 a.m. Okay. How is everybody doing today?
Okay, you can talk to them.
I think the microphones may be muted.
Thank you, Ian.
Oh, there we go. Yes.
Good morning. I just want to check, did you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. It's good.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Liam, I just want to check my microphone. It's still working? It's good, right?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Is it unmuted? The phone is loud and clear. We can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Today I feel like คุณไพรัตน์ บูรพชัยศรี Vice Chairman of the Thai Chamber of Commerce คุณมนตรีมหาพฤกษ์ Mr. Tin Sojo.
And could all the speakers today, would you be able to change your background to match this one here? Match the Again, sorry, could everybody change their background to match the event background that we have behind me here?
ปัจจุบันเศรษฐกิจไทยกำลังเผชิญกับความไม่แน่นอนจากวิกฤตต่างๆทั้งในและต่างประเทศซึ่งเป็นปัจจัยสำคัญที่เร่งให้เกิดการปรับเปลี่ยนแปลงในการก้าวเข้าสู่ยุคเศรษฐกิจดิจิทัลของโลกอนาคตที่นำเทคโนโลยีดิจิทัลและนวัตกรรมใหม่ๆมาช่วยเพิ่มประสิทธิภาพของการพัฒนาศักยภาพกำลังคนและการแข่งขันทางธุรกิจการพัฒนาผลิตภัณฑ์และการตลาดดิจิทัลรวมถึงบริการทางการเงินและการจัดการระบบโลจิสติกส์ทั้งนี้ประเทศไทยจำเป็นจะต้องเร่งสร้างจุดแข็งเพื่อพัฒนาศักยภาพการแข่งขันและพันธมิตรทางการค้าอาทิเช่นกลุ่มประเทศเพื่อนบ้านที่มีแนวโน้มเศรษฐกิจโตขึ้นอย่างต่อเนื่องรวมไปถึงการหาช่องทางการขยายตลาดใหม่ๆเพื่อรองรับกลุ่มที่มีกำลังซื้อขนาดใหญ่และกลุ่มที่มีกำลังซื้อสูงซึ่งประเทศไทยกำลังจะเข้าสู่สังคมผู้สูงอายุ Aging Society และคาดการณ์ว่าในอีก 20 ปีข้างหน้าสังคมผู้สูงอายุจะมีอัตราเพิ่มขึ้นเป็น 2 เท่าของจำนวนประชากรการเปลี่ยนแปลงโครงสร้างประชากรทำให้ผู้ประกอบการจำเป็นจะต้องมีการวางแผนผู้สูงอายุที่จะกลายมาเป็นลูกค้ากลุ่มใหม่ที่มีบทบาทสำคัญในอนาคตซึ่งมีทั้งลูกค้าที่เป็นคนไทยและชาวต่างชาติท่ามกลางกระแสความเปลี่ยนแปลงที่ส่งผลกระทบต่อธุรกิจเดิมหรือนำมาซึ่งความคิดริเริ่มในการสร้างธุรกิจใหม่ให้รองรับกับความเปลี่ยนแปลงเพื่อช่วงชิงโอกาสและความสำเร็จของธุรกิจสถาบันวิจัยและพัฒนาเศรษฐกิจการพาณิชย์ Institute of Business Economics Research and Development หรือ iBird ที่จัดตั้งขึ้นเมื่อพ.ศ. 2552 ภายใต้มูลนิธิสถาบันวิจัยและพัฒนาเศรษฐกิจการพาณิชย์โดยเป็นองค์กรอิสระที่ไม่แสวงหาผลกำไรมุ่งหวังให้เกิดศูนย์รวมความคิดจากประสบการณ์ชั้นสูงทางด้านเศรษฐกิจการค้าและการลงทุนพลิกวิกฤตให้เป็นโอกาสสร้างโอกาสในการลงทุนของผู้ทรงคุณวุฒิจากองค์กรสถาบันที่มีชื่อเสียงทั้งในประเทศและต่างประเทศภายใต้ภารกิจหลักในการสร้างงานวิจัยเชิงนโยบายเช่นพัฒนาความรู้ให้คำปรึกษาต่อยอดงานวิจัยและพัฒนาขีดความสามารถในการแข่งขันทางธุรกิจพัฒนานวัตกรรมด้านเศรษฐกิจการพาณิชย์ด้วยดิจิทัลเทคโนโลยีให้กับหน่วยงานภาครัฐและเอกชนสถาบันวิจัยและพัฒนาเศรษฐกิจการพาณิชย์หรือ iBird ถือเป็นศูนย์กลางองค์ความรู้ที่ครอบคลุมในด้านเศรษฐกิจการพาณิชย์เป็นประตูเชื่อมโยงในการค้าและการลงทุนทั่วโลกเสริมพลังภาคเศรษฐกิจธุรกิจไทย Empower Thai Business และพันธมิตรเพื่อก้าวสู่ยุคดิจิทัลเทคโนโลยีและนวัตกรรมด้วยเครือข่ายธุรกิจทั่วโลก
Would it be wonderful if we could integrate leading innovation along with the learning in the business world? From an old square classroom to one with no borders. Get ready for a digital transformational era. When successful decisions and marketing strategies require a big data to fully become a successful marketer in online business world. Leave behind all the old principles to becoming a digital economy. To become valuable e-commerce providers with infinite imagination. With new innovation, there is no such thing as impossible, only possible. Dare to try, dare to do, and be open-minded to new things. Learning and adapting. Comprehend more to achieve more. Because a digital world is a world that data is unified. The thought of a large world will then shrink to the size of your palm. Open up to new perspectives, make your business unbeatable, and leave others in the dust. Ignite your creativity. Erase the impossibility. Move towards the digital era with the confidence, because for us, nothing is impossible. And we can make every possibility happen with the learning in digital era. Move forward together with us at SIBA, College of Innovative Business and Accountancy, Turakit Bandit University, Startup University.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the inaugural CLMVT Economics and Business Webinar Forum on Special Capacity Strengthening in the topic of Marketing 5.0, Technology for Humanity. My name is Liam Redhead. I'm the moderator of today's webinar forum. This forum has been organized by the Institute of Business Economics Research and Development, also known as IBIRD, in cooperation with Device Business University of Myanmar and Durakit Pundit University of Thailand. Before proceeding with today's events, I would like to provide an outline of the program for the audience. The program will start with introductory remarks by IBIRD, welcome remarks by DPU, followed by opening remarks by a representative of the Thai Embassy in Yangon. Professor Tate will then share with us a presentation with a particular focus on Marketing 5.0. During a short break midway through the presentation, an introduction of the co-host organizations will be made. The presentation will then resume before commencement of a question and answer session. Those wishing to ask questions or to make comments can do so by typing in the chat window. This will allow us to put forward any questions or comments you have regarding the presentations. The final part of today's program will be the concluding remarks by IBIRD. This special webinar forum will be broadcast on Facebook Live through both the DPU and the IBIRD Facebook pages for those of us wanting to join through our social media channels. To get things underway, I would like to invite Khun Nathi Chuansanit, Executive Director of IBIRD, to give the introductory remarks. Please welcome Khun Nathi Chuansanit.
Honorable speakers, distinguished participants, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to speak at the introduction of the CLMVT Economics and Business Webinar Forum on behalf of the Institute of Business Economic Research and Development, or IBERD, IBIRD. IBIRD is a nonprofit organization, and the major role is on the policy research on business economics, and as was one-stop on business consulting service on international trade. A warm welcome is made of all of you who participate in this forum. And we appreciate that distinguished participants, to name a few, like Khun Phairat Burapachai Sri, Vice Chairman of Thai Chamber of Commerce, and Khun Montri Mahaprikspong, Secretary General of Federation of Thai Industry, and Mr. Tin So Jo, Chairman of the Vice Business University, and last but not last, Assistant Professor Dr. Siradet Kamsuprom, Dean of SIBA, DPU, who devote their valuable time to present here. Moreover, it is our honor for us to have the presence of the Thai Minister Commercial of Culture, Assistant Professor Dr. Thanawut, with us today. The webinar forum is being held for the first time as a collaborative effort of IBERT in joining hands with DPU and from Myanmar and DPU Thailand. The forum marks the inception of the initiative to connect with CLMVT countries for the benefits of business and economics purpose. IBERT had plans to start with Myanmar, the member, and the after followed by the member countries of CLMV, especially as Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam in the next occasion. The forum today focuses on the Marketing 5.0. We are honored to have Professor Dr. Ong Kuntet. He was as a senior fellow of IBERT, present his perspective of emergence of Marketing 5.0 and the challenge of advanced technologies to all of us. I hope that to the forum will be fruitful deliberations. At present, over 300 participants, more than our expectation, have accepted to attend the forum. So thank you very much for your interest. The participants are from leading business organizations, university, health and wellness business, and private service organizations within CLMVT countries, mostly our friends from Myanmar. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to express my sincere appreciation for DPU and DBU for joining with IBERT to organize this forum. I would like to thank and acknowledgement the guest speaker who will contribute to the forum today. My thanks also go to the working team of the co-organizer for making this forum possible. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Khun Nati Chuansanit, for your introductory remarks. Next, I would like to invite Assistant Professor Dr. Siradet Kamsuprom, Dean of the College of Innovative Business and Accountancy, also known as SIBA, at Durakit Pundit University, to give the welcome remarks. Please welcome Assistant Professor Dr. Siradet Kamsuprom.
Good morning, Honorable Speaker, distinguished participants, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure for me to be here to represent Durakit Pundit University to give the welcome remarks this morning. On this occasion, I would like to extend a warm welcome to you all to CLMVT Economics and Business Webinar Forum on Spatial Capacity Strengthening in the topic of Marketing 5.0, Technology for Humanity. As you are well aware, the globalization and technological improvements are imminent, and those that embrace it today will be better prepared for tomorrow. The marketing strategy in a digital context has been so far growing at a dramatic pace and is impacting customer and marketing behaviors. This transformation has forced the business to start incorporating the marketing strategy with the dependent on digital technology and try to meet their target customer needs to the satisfaction. Marketing applies so-called Marketing 5.0 is the current and future trend of the marketing field. Accordingly, Marketing 5.0 has been positively affected by the current technology change. This forum will focus on Marketing 5.0, Technology for Humanity, which will pay particular attention to the advanced technology applied for the marketing approach and their impact on the human. Moreover, the second forum, which will be organized on the next Saturday, 18th of September, at the same time. It will make emphasis on the different perspective of marketing. The next topic will be marketing to different generations. Lastly, I would like to express my warm welcome once again to everyone participating in this forum. I hope that all of you will enjoy the presentation of Marketing 5.0. My sincere appreciation is made to Professor Tet, who will make contribution on this presentation to the forum. I wish the forum success and fruitful deliberation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Assistant Professor Dr. Suridet Komsuprom, for your welcome remarks. Next, it is time for the opening session. On this occasion, I would like to invite Assistant Professor Dr. Thanawat Naigawit, Director of the Thai Trade Center in Yangon and Minister Counselor of the Office of Commercial Affairs at the Royal Thai Embassy, to deliver the opening remarks. Please welcome Assistant Professor Dr. Thanawat Naigawit.
Mingalaba Sawadee Krap, Professor Dr. Ong Tun Tet, Senior Fellow of IBERT, Mr. Tin San Jor, Chairman of Device Business University, Mrs. Nati Chuansanit, Executive Director of IBERT, Assistant Professor Dr. Silidet Kamsupom, Dean of College for Innovative Business and Accountancy, Thurukit Bandit University, Mr. Chan Sarat Ler Sopon, member of IBERT Executive Board, honorable participants, and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is with much pleasure that I have the opportunity to address this forum on behalf of Madam Ambassador of Thailand to Myanmar, Her Excellency, Mrs. Supata Srimaiti Pitak, who has designated me to speak at this forum. First of all, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the IBERT for inviting the Thai Embassy to participate in this forum. I would like to take this opportunity to extend a warm welcome to all participants who are from the CMVT countries. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, today's topic of the forum is the current and future trend in marketing. It is transformation from traditional marketing to the digital, where both the offline and online coexist. This trend is about how to integrate technologies and business model with the shifts in the consumer behavior, and how to best use modern technologies in favor of business and apply them for marketing purposes. I believe that today's topic is not only applied for business, but can also be applied for every profession who requires to utilize modern technologies and digital transformation for improving the livelihood and the building the technology capabilities for the organization with all digital possibilities. The appropriate application of technologies may improve the human happiness at the end. During a time, the Thai Embassy in Yangon has for decades been an active catalyst for CMVT countries through providing full support for activities run for CMVT purposes. This forum is another event which would help fulfill to enhance knowledge and practice for CMVT countries. In the meantime, strengthen the close relationship between the business circle and the economic community. In this context, the Thai Embassy in Yangon is happy to support the co-organizers to bring forward this kind of activities for the benefit of the CMVT countries. I conclude my remarks by expressing confidence that this forum would lead us to connect with the CMVT countries. I hope the forum would be a significant step toward expanding the close links among the business community and academic institutions within the countries. Thailand looks forward to furthering the beneficial relationships among the CLMV countries in the years to come. I wish this forum every success. Thank you.
Thank you, Assistant Professor Dr. Thanawut Naigawit, for your opening remarks. Before starting the special lecture on Marketing 5.0, Technology for Humanity, it is now my great pleasure to introduce Professor Dr. Ong Tum Tet, Senior Fellow at the Institute of Business Economics Research and Development, who will be our guest speaker today. Professor Dr. Ong Tum Tet's distinguished career has included serving as the former president's economic advisor, an advisor at the Union of Myanmar Federation of Chambers of Commerce and Industry, honorary professor at the University of British Columbia in Canada, and Professor Emeritus at Yangon University of Economics. Additionally, Dr. Tet is a chairman of the UN Global Compact Network in Myanmar. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Professor Dr. Ong Tum Tet to give the special lecture with particular focus on Marketing 5.0.
Good morning, everyone. Mingalawa, Sawadika. I would like to thank the co-organizers, especially Mr. Moderator, for this opening session. And it is an honor and privilege for me to share my thoughts on Marketing 5.0. At the outset, let me remind all of us that it is not just a webinar or a forum, but a learning experience. I think our partner university, DPU, DBU, and others would accept and recognize that the whole purpose of education is to promote learning. And in that context, I would like to thank IBERT, especially Konati, for making this happen, because it's important that we work together between countries, CLMV countries, to promote learning. And I do hope that today's process will be a rich learning experience. Before I share my presentation, I would also like to add one important issue. When we talk about marketing, normally people think only of business or economics. This is a very narrow perspective. In fact, marketing is relevant not only in economics and business, but also in politics. We need marketing in politics. We need marketing in social affairs. We need marketing in health affairs, in education. And therefore, I would like to encourage all the participants, the 300 of you, to see marketing in a much wider perspective rather than a narrow 5.0 focusing on technology or business. So let me start with my presentation. I hope you can open the screen share from your end.
The screen?
Yeah, because let me. I think other participants are sharing, so let me. Okay, I got it. So let's begin. Sorry for this slight hiccup. Today's topic, as was explained by Mr. Moderator, will be Marketing 5.0, Technology for Humanity. I think this is important for us to combine the two spheres of technology and humanity. Although, as Professor Siridik just mentioned, we have advanced technology, but at the end of the day, we need to focus on the humanity. And I therefore would like to encourage the students who are here, not just to be enamored with the recent technology, the latest changes, but at the end of the day, we should not forget that we are human beings. As human beings, we must look at humanity. And therefore, what I have designed for my presentation, as was explained by Mr. Leon Redhead, it'll be in two parts. In part one, I will share the introduction and then focus on 5.0. We will have a short break. And after the short break, I would address three topics: the technology enhancement of 5.0, and to make sure that all of us has a better understanding of what it means, I would share with you the main components of Marketing 5.0. I will then conclude by providing a summary of my presentations. And as Mr. Leon Redhead explained to us, after my presentation, there will be question and answer. And I do hope that we will have a full participatory learning experience in today's forum. So let me start with my first part. The first part will address the broad introduction of the topic, the areas that I will be covering, and the issues that you might look into. Of course, when we talk about Marketing 5.0, all of us always remember the famous Professor Philip Kotler. In Myanmar, we were very fortunate and honored to have Professor Kotler visited us twice. One in 2014, and then the next time in 2015. And as I speak, we will soon have the EU World Marketing Summit of 2021, where I'll be making a presentation. I also made a presentation at the EU World Marketing Summit in 2020. Professor Kotler reminded us that in the coming decade, we would have to re-engineer marketing. And therefore, what he pointed us is we need to rethink. We need to go back to the basic assumptions. We need to look at what we are taught in the schools, in the business schools. And therefore, what we need by thinking is to identify, communicate, and deliver customer value. So the whole question of Marketing 5.0 is the rethinking, reframing, reimagination of what we often understand as marketing. I'm sure those of you who are joining the forum would have some idea of what marketing means. But what we need now is to abandon our old assumptions and look into how we can see marketing in a completely new light. Let me start. The marketing is we have to look at the way that we have to look at marketing would have to be different. It takes almost 70 years to evolve, and we understand that there are several concepts, irrespective of the changes, irrespective of the technology advancement, we still have these concepts which have stood the test of time. The traditional, I am sure in DPU and DBU and other universities, we are taught marketing concepts, segmentation, targeting, positioning. We are taught the 4P model of product, price, place, promotion. These are the terms that students of marketing, all of you would recognize. These are the traditional marketing concepts which are still relevant even in the 21st century. But now we are changing. We should look at marketing in two terms, market and ing, which means action. So we need to evolve, we need to adapt to the changing market. The 21st century market is not the same as the 20th century or the 19th century markets. And we need to reimagine and we need to change our mindset. Let me share with you the marketing evolution. We started off with marketing 1.0, then we moved into 2.0, later 3.0, 4.0, and currently we are in the stage of marketing 5.0. So what does it all mean? If you look at marketing 1.0, when I was a student at the university in the UK, this is where we started, that it is focused on, in the 1950s, the baby boomers and the parents, products have to be perfect, services would have to be perfect, and the question of how do we produce high value in the minds of the customers. This is why marketing 1.0 has been very effective in providing goods and services, product and services to the consumers. It has advantages over the competitors, but it also means that we are promoting consumerization. It is no longer based on need, but based on what? The question of consumerization becomes predominant in marketing 1.0. As a contrary to this, we now moved into 2.0, where everything is customer-centric. We say customer is king. In Japan, customer is seen even as God. The question is, we now look at anti-consumerization, which began in the 1960s and the 1970s. Of course, because of the economic recession that we have faced in those periods, the spending power of the consumers are much lower. The question is, we need to be very careful with our expenditures. There are no perfect products. We have to look at the target markets, and then we have to look at the market positioning. And I think for the universities joining this forum, what is your market position? What is the market position of DPU or DBU? These are the things that we need to consider in 2.0. The question is, I'm sure many Thai businesses who are joining us, in your big companies, you are doing CRM, which is customer relationships management. We're trying to make sure customer retention. How do we keep your customers? Because we realize that the cost of getting a new customer is about 7 times more than retaining the existing customers. And therefore, this is where I liked the evolution of marketing 3.0, whereby we're focusing on the human element, where Generation Y look at products and services which has positive societal environment impact. So the issue now becomes businesses has to be responsible. In this context, socially responsible business is very important. And when Mr. Moderator introduced me, in Myanmar, I have promoted UN Global Compact, which is the largest CSR initiative in the world. And I do hope through IBERT, we can promote UNGC also in Thailand. Because in Myanmar, currently we have about 300 companies joining the Responsible Business Conduct, RBC, in terms of Global Compact. Then, in terms of 3.0, we now have people looking at customers, not just for their businesses. We're looking at customers through the lens of intellectual, emotional, and even spiritual. In a Buddhist country like Thailand and Myanmar, spirituality is very important. We need to address the spiritual nature of humanity. And therefore, now most of us are in Marketing 4.0, whereas Professor from DPU reminded us, we are moving into a digital economy. Of course, it does not mean that we still need to focus on the human centricity. We have Generation Y and Z, which are used to, familiar with digital economy. We have internet, social media, e-commerce. Everything has been changed overnight through Marketing 4.0. This is where it becomes very important that Thai businesses, and even in Myanmar, we are having what is known as the omni-channel presence. It is no longer enough to have the brick and mortar stores. We need to have a blended approach. We need to use an omni-channel presence where customers can buy very conveniently through the internet, using mobile telephones. These are the trends that we see. And therefore, it means that we need to have a blended approach. We need to have both online and offline marketing. This is what is involved. The main emphasis to Marketing 4.0 came from Industry 4.0. I'm sure all of you, the participants, understand what it means when I talk about 4.0. But let me remind you what 4.0 means. Currently, we are in the period of 4.0. We have moved from Industry 1.0 in the Industrial Revolution. We then moved into 2.0 and 3.0. And even in some modern countries, they are talking about Industry 5.0. The challenge would be technology is the enabler. We have mobile technologies. We have Internet of Things. We have many things which all of you are familiar with. I was watching the video of DPU where the students are looking at advanced robotics. In marketing, we are looking at Internet of Things, big data analysis. Big data is the order of the day. Every big company in Thailand, I'm sure, are using cloud computing. So the issue is we have to look upon 4.0, Industry 4.0 as the key enabler for Marketing 4.0. Of course, it means we now have, and I'm very glad to look at the videos of DPU, where the students are looking at artificial intelligence. We have NPL, the Internet of Things. These are what is current. And I would like to encourage the students from the universities to be familiar with the recent developed technologies, because this will be very important. But again, let me remind you, technology is not the issue. The issue is humanity. How do we keep our sense of humanity in spite of the developments? And therefore, what has caught us in 2020, starting from late 2019, is COVID-19. COVID-19 is a game changer. We are now in the new normal. Businesses, Thai businesses, Cambodian businesses, Vietnamese businesses cannot look at business in the old sense. There is no longer business as usual. We must change the way we work. Many of us are working from home. Many universities are doing online teaching. So the question is, how do we adapt ourselves as marketers? Markets have changed, so marketers must also change into a new environment. So we often hear that the major driver of digitalized economy, digitalization, is not advance in technology, but COVID-19. In spite of the difficult challenges COVID-19 provided us, we should see this as an opportunity for advancing on this Marketing 4.0. And therefore, let me share with you what we have now. I'm sure this is true in Thailand. This is true in every country, especially in my country. What we now have is called the VUCA world. I would like to encourage the students joining this forum to have a deep analysis and understanding of what VUCA really means. VUCA means 4 things. The situation now in Thailand, in Myanmar, and all over the world, we have volatile situation, the V. We have uncertain situation, which is the U. We have complex situation, which is the C. And then we have the ambiguous, which is the A. So how do we respond to the VUCA world? Instead of looking at VUCA in negative terms, may I suggest that we look at VUCA in a slightly different way. Instead of looking at VUCA volatility, let us be vibrant. This is where businesses in Thailand, businesses in CLMV countries, including Thailand, we have to be vibrant. We have to be unreal. We have to think outside the box. We have to be crazy, like Generation Y and Z, and we have to be astounding, that we can beat the competitors. So the whole issue of VUCA, instead of negative terms, we should focus on the positive side, which then means it is time for Marketing 5.0, which is the topic of my forum. So the question is, how do we address the current VUCA world? I would like to suggest that we would address the VUCA world through Marketing 5.0. So this is why I come to the second and the last part of my presentation before intermission. Marketing 5.0 would involve technology for Generation Z, Generation Alpha. We are now looking into improving quality of human lives. It is no longer just business. In the old days, we're talking about businesses would look at profit. We are not satisfied with getting profits alone. We look at humanity. How can we make a difference in human lives? Quality of human lives is important. How do we make sure technology, we don't leave people behind. We have to make sure that everyone is involved with the technology advancement. And therefore, it means, as Professor Siridik from TPU mentioned, we now have advanced technologies, we have strategies, we have tactics, we have operations. We need to leverage technology not for its own sake, technology for the good of humanity. We now have smart technology. And then, let me remind all of you, some of you might not be familiar with the concept Society 5.0. As we have Industry 4.0, we now moving into Society 5.0, whereby we have smart societies. I'm sure in Thailand, in other advanced countries, you have this. We move from a hunting society in the primitive societies, which then moves into an agrarian agriculture society. We then moved into industrial society and then information society. Currently now, in many advanced countries, we are in what is called the super smart society. And therefore, marketing must adjust to the transformation that is happening throughout human progress. As human beings, we have developed from a hunter-gatherer. From the beginning, coexistence with nature. We moved into agriculture. We moved into machinery industry. We moved to information. And now we move into smart society. Marketing 4.0, 5.0 is where 3.0 and 4.0 meets. We need to combine the concepts, the underlying understanding, of marketing 3.0 and 4.0, and then make sure that we have a new concept, a new idea, which I'm promoting today, which is marketing 5.0. Of course, we do have challenges in our strive to look at marketing 5.0. The first challenge is the generation gap. This is a topic that I will be discussing next week. And I, again, like to invite all of you to join us to look at how marketers can look at generation gaps. What we now have is another challenge. I'm sure you see in Thailand, in other countries, which is known as the prosperity polarization. By this, I mean the rich are getting richer, which is good, but at the same time, the poor are getting poorer, which is a sad reflection of humanity. It is okay to have people getting rich, but it is not okay for people getting poor. So we need to address the prosperity polarization. And finally, all of you who are listening are very fortunate to have access to digitalization. You are using Zoom technology. But in my country, and I'm sure in Thailand, in other countries too, we need to recognize that we still have what is known as the digital divide. People who are connected and people who are abandoned, who have no access to the modern technology that we currently have. So if I could briefly discuss the three challenges. The first is the generation gap. For the first time in human history, this is something I want you to do. We now have 5 generations living together. It is not just one generation. We have 5 generations living together. Each generation has a particular attitude, has particular preferences, and particular behavior. And therefore, as marketers, we should recognize that if you focus on baby boomers, it is not focusing on generation Y, Z, or Alpha. So this is something that we should recognize. The second is, as I mentioned earlier, we now have chronic inequality and wealth distribution. I think last year, we have a statistics that each of the wealthiest person in the world owns about 40% of the global wealth, which means that there is polarization in markets too. As I mentioned earlier, getting richer is important, but making sure no one is left behind is equally important. And the final chat, because of this prosperity polarization, we have upper class, I'm sure in Thailand too, high-paying jobs, luxury markets, but we also have what is called the bottom of the pyramid, the poorest of the poor. But please, as marketers, please do not ignore the bottom of the pyramid. We now realize that the middle market is contracting and vanishing. And therefore, businesses represented in this forum, you should look at looking upwards or going downwards to survive. You go to the apex of the pyramid or to the bottom of the pyramid. And because of this, what we have is a structure of society which is very sad. We have those very rich, very small percentage at the top. Then at the bottom of the pyramid, we have 60% of the population, which means the rural poor, very low competition. But all this means marketers would have to develop strategies. How do we deal with the top of the pyramid, the middle of the pyramid, and the bottom of the pyramid market segments? These are the terms marketing students are familiar with. And final challenge is the digital divide. People are scared. People are scared of digitalization. People are technology challenged. Workers are challenged because they are afraid that they would lose their jobs because of automation. People are worried about the privacy violations. So we have the divide between those who believe in digitalization, those who thrive on digitalization, and those who are scared of digitalization. And therefore, the question is, how do we tap into digitalization to make a better future for the human beings? We have to make sure that the technology advancement help us move forward and that people do not resent the advancing technology. We have to encourage, we have to empower, and we have to ensure that the low-paying workers are comfortable with change and they will adopt this change. And therefore, I would like to conclude my first part. I've introduced marketing 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and then finally 5.0. And based on this, after the intermission, I will continue with my presentation. Thank you so much for your attention. And I do hope during the intermission, you would have time to reflect on my presentation and think of the questions and discussions you would make at the end of my presentation. Thank you very much. I hand over to Mr. Ian Redhead for his moderation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Tate. So, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time to have a short break for 15 minutes. During this time, we would like to introduce the co-host organizations, starting from DBU, DPU, and then iBird.
Mingalaba, Sawadi Krab. My warm regards to Honorable Professor Dr. Anton Tate, members of the IBERD, and the members of the Durrani Pandit University. Thank you to IBERD and DPU for collaborating and organizing the CLMVT Business Economic Webinar Forums on Business Special Capacity Strengthening. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak on behalf of the Device Business University. My name is Tin San Chol. I am the chairman of Device Business University. Device Business University was given the permission by the Myanmar Investment Commission to carry out higher education services on 17 July 2020. The university had partnered with Durrani Pandit University, one of the first and best private university in Thailand, and planned to organize bachelor and master degree programs in Yangon and Manali in 2021. Unfortunately, our plan to organize the programs had to be postponed because of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and political changes happening in Myanmar. However, we understand the importance of having higher education for self-development and development of the Myanmar. So we continue to partner with the Durrani Pandit University and support our students to travel to Thailand and obtain the BBA and MBA degree in Thailand. We are providing the complete application and travel assistance to our potential students who wants to travel to Thailand and study at DPU facility through our partner, Kakadu Study Abroad Facebook page. Interested students can get necessary information through Kakadu Study Abroad Facebook page. Similarly, We will continue to collaborate with the DPU and IBERD and organize online seminars like this one to provide business relevant knowledge through expert panel and the speakers. We are fortunate today to have the Professor Dr. Aung Thun That, who have provided us first and second CLMVT Economy Business webinar forums on the special capacity strengthening in the topic Marketing 5.0. We hope you all will gain valuable knowledge and information from the first part, Marketing 5.0, Technology for the Humanity, organized today, September 11, and the second part, Marketing 5.0, Technology for Digital Business, organized on September 18. I request all the viewers watching today to share this information with your network and send us feedback on the usefulness on the seminar and the kinds of topics you would like to hear from the Professor Dr. Aung Thun That in the future. We'll organize these seminars regularly on a monthly basis and also in the Myanmar language if there is enough interest from the community on the specific topics. Once again, I thank Honorable Professor Dr. Aung Thun That for giving your time and sharing your knowledge of Marketing 5.0. IBERD and Durgit Mandi University for organizing CLMVT Economy Business Economy webinar forums on the special capacity strengthening. Hub Myanmar Limited for supporting the event and promoting it. Cockatoo studied abroad for supporting the students to study BBA and MBA at Durgit Mandi University in Bangkok. So thank you once again to everyone and wish you all safety and good health during this difficult COVID pandemic. Thank you very much.
ปัจจุบันเศรษฐกิจไทยกำลังเผชิญกับความไม่แน่นอนจากวิกฤตต่างๆทั้งในและต่างประเทศซึ่งเป็นปัจจัยสำคัญที่เร่งให้เกิดการปรับเปลี่ยนแปลงในการก้าวเข้าสู่ยุคเศรษฐกิจดิจิทัลของโลกอนาคตที่นำเทคโนโลยีดิจิทัลและนวัตกรรมใหม่ๆมาช่วยเพิ่มประสิทธิภาพของการพัฒนาศักยภาพกำลังคนและการแข่งขันทางธุรกิจการพัฒนาผลิตภัณฑ์และการตลาดดิจิทัลรวมถึงบริการทางการเงินและการจัดการระบบโลจิสติกส์ทั้งนี้ประเทศไทยจำเป็นจะต้องเร่งสร้างจุดแข็งเพื่อพัฒนาศักยภาพการแข่งขันและพันธมิตรทางการค้าอาทิเช่นกลุ่มประเทศเพื่อนบ้านที่มีแนวโน้มเศรษฐกิจโตขึ้นอย่างต่อเนื่องรวมไปถึงการหาช่องทางการขยายตลาดใหม่ๆเพื่อรองรับกลุ่มที่มีกำลังซื้อขนาดใหญ่และกลุ่มที่มีกำลังซื้อสูงซึ่งประเทศไทยกำลังจะเข้าสู่สังคมผู้สูงอายุ Aging Society และคาดการณ์ว่าในอีก 20 ปีข้างหน้าสังคมผู้สูงอายุจะมีอัตราเพิ่มขึ้นเป็น 2 เท่าของจำนวนประชากรการเปลี่ยนแปลงโครงสร้างประชากรทำให้ผู้ประกอบการจำเป็นจะต้องมีการวางแผนผู้สูงอายุที่จะกลายมาเป็นลูกค้ากลุ่มใหม่ที่มีบทบาทสำคัญในอนาคตซึ่งมีทั้งลูกค้าที่เป็นคนไทยและชาวต่างชาติท่ามกลางกระแสความเปลี่ยนแปลงที่ส่งผลกระทบต่อธุรกิจเดิมหรือนำมาซึ่งความคิดริเริ่มในการสร้างธุรกิจใหม่ให้รองรับกับความเปลี่ยนแปลงเพื่อช่วงชิงโอกาสและความสำเร็จของธุรกิจสถาบันวิจัยและพัฒนาเศรษฐกิจการพาณิชย์ Institute of Business Economics Research and Development หรือ IBER ที่จัดตั้งขึ้นเมื่อพ.ศ. 2552 ภายใต้มูลนิธิสถาบันวิจัยและพัฒนาเศรษฐกิจการพาณิชย์โดยเป็นองค์กรอิสระที่ไม่แสวงหาผลกำไรมุ่งหวังให้เกิดศูนย์รวมความคิดจากประสบการณ์ชั้นสูงทางด้านเศรษฐกิจการค้าและการลงทุนพลิกวิกฤตให้เป็นโอกาสสร้างโอกาสในการลงทุนของผู้ทรงคุณวุฒิจากองค์กรสถาบันที่มีชื่อเสียงทั้งในประเทศและต่างประเทศภายใต้ภารกิจหลักในการสร้างงานวิจัยเชิงนโยบายเช่นพัฒนาความรู้ให้คำปรึกษาต่อยอดงานวิจัยและพัฒนาขีดความสามารถในการแข่งขันทางธุรกิจพัฒนานวัตกรรมด้านเศรษฐกิจการพาณิชย์ด้วยดิจิทัลเทคโนโลยีให้กับหน่วยงานภาครัฐและเอกชนสถาบันวิจัยและพัฒนาเศรษฐกิจการพาณิชย์หรือ IBER ถือเป็นศูนย์กลางองค์ความรู้ที่ครอบคลุมในด้านเศรษฐกิจการพาณิชย์เป็นประตูเชื่อมโยงในการค้าและการลงทุนทั่วโลกเสริมพลังภาคเศรษฐกิจธุรกิจไทย Empower Thai Business และพันธมิตรเพื่อก้าวสู่ยุคดิจิทัลเทคโนโลยีและนวัตกรรมด้วยเครือข่ายธุรกิจทั่วโลก
Welcome back, everybody. It's time to resume the special lecture. I would just like to add that in this part of the lecture, now would be a great opportunity for any of you who have any questions or comments regarding the contents of today's special lecture, just to post them into the chat window in Zoom, and then that will be in preparation for the Q&A session at the end of this part of the lecture. So without any further ado, I would like to invite Professor Tate to continue his presentation. Tate, could you unmute your microphone, please?
So welcome back to the webinar. I do hope we have a short break, and during the short break, we have a better understanding of our co-organizers, especially DBU, Device Business University, which is recently very new, as well as DPU, which I'm very familiar with. So let me go to the second part of my presentation. This will focus mainly on the topic of my webinar, which will be 5.0. Through this, I do hope you would have a better and shared understanding. Let me at the outset share with you one of the objectives or the expected outcomes I have through this webinar. It is not just a better understanding, but it's also important to have a shared understanding. I think in the learning community that I'm involved and the universities are involved is to promote shared learning. And therefore, I would like to ask and request the 200 plus, almost 300 participants to this webinar to share this knowledge, to share your experience with your group, with your company, with your fellow students, with your fellow faculty members, because it is only through sharing that we spread the knowledge. By sharing, it does not mean that whatever you know decreases. In fact, it even increases. So I'm sure the co-organizers are willing to share with you the slides. You can use the slides in your own company if you think they are useful. You can use your slides in your own community if you feel that they will be useful. Because the whole objective of this seminar, principally organized by iBird, is capacity strengthening and to share the knowledge, the ideas, the thoughts. It is only through sharing that we learn together. So let me start by insisting that, again, to repeat that we are in the learning journey. We want to enrich the learning experience. And to do this, I would like to encourage all of you to be ambassadors, to use the knowledge you have acquired and share with your fellow colleagues, with your students, with your professors. So with these opening remarks, let me go back to my presentation, the second part. Sorry for this. Let me.
Can I have?
Let me check. Just a second, please.
Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you, Professor Dr. Ong Chun Tet. I'm the.
No, we're not having discussion yet. No, we really need to have a presentation. Just 1 second, please. So the second part of my presentation, we would look at how does technology enhance Marketing 5.0? Because as was explained to us by Professor Xavier Dix from DPU, the whole emphasis would be on technology. How do we use the modern technology that we have to enhance Marketing 5.0? Marketing 5.0, we now have what is called human mimicking technologies. Technologies are so advanced that they become even human-like. Nowadays, we have technology to use that we can create, we can communicate, we can deliver, and to enhance value throughout the customer journey. All of you who are students of marketing would appreciate and understand and recognize that we are looking into customer journey. And the question now becomes, that we are using technology, the next tech, the technology to emulate human marketers. We are not replacing, but we are enhancing the ability of human beings to use technology in our marketing efforts. This is why artificial intelligence, I'm sure many Thai big companies are using AI. They are using big data analytics. Nowadays, the buzzword is big data. We have to look at each customer. It is no longer ready-made. It must be customized. We have to personalize each customer. So we now have, in the old days, we talk about market segments. We now use the term segments of one, which means we have to focus on each and every customer. And therefore, we now have the tools, the algorithms to work on this. So we don't need to go through the traditional new product development process. Many steps that you do in the old days, we can now skip these steps by using artificial intelligence. Therefore, if you look at the big companies like Netflix, which is one of the major growth markets, Amazon, YouTube, they look at the customer purchase history, and therefore they create dynamic segmentation. And therefore, what artificial intelligence enabled us to look at the hidden relationships between unrelated products. So marketers, I'm sure in Thailand, I know in Myanmar, we're focusing on how do we upsell and how do we cross-sell. The banks, for example, are a classic example of doing this. They are upselling and they are also cross-selling. So the question becomes, we have robots who can replace frontline staff. Nestle Japan, for example, they are using AI-empowered robots as coffee waiters. The Hilton company in US, they are looking at concierge, robot concierge. And then the Tesco UK are replacing cashiers with face recognition cameras. What you see is an effort by big companies, major companies globally. This is a trend. And therefore, businesses in Thailand, in the CLMV countries, also must look into how do we leverage the power of artificial intelligence? How do we use robotics to serve customers better, quicker, and cheaper? That will be our goal. We now have Internet of Things retailers. They are giving digital experience, even in Myanmar. In spite of all the challenges, we have an exponential growth in online marketing. They are replacing brick and mortar. You don't need to open a shop anymore. So the question then is, we now have Walgreens in the US. We have digital coolers. They can give right promotions. By looking at face detecting screens, technologies are helping us to identify customer preference, customer's choice. And this is what I think companies in Thailand and in Myanmar and CLMV countries must be looking towards. And therefore, IKEA, for example, you have in Thailand, we have a small outlet here in Myanmar. The fragrant Sephora, Macy, Targets, they are also using these artificial intelligence or augmented reality AR to look at customers. So the customer's journey is different now. The customer do not come to the shop. They first look at online, they look at the videos, they test it, they try it out, and only when they have made the purchase decision, they will come to your shop. And therefore, the question is, how do we ensure that the shopping experience is unforgettable and memorable? So the question is, the humanity part becomes more important. the technology part is being taken care of through online marketing. So the question is, now technology is no longer expensive. It is affordable. Thanks to big companies like Microsoft and Google, you have open source AI platforms. You don't need to create yourself. I would like to encourage, especially Myanmar firms, not to think of expensive solutions, but use the open source platforms that are available. And I'm sure in Thailand you are doing this, to take advantage, to utilize what is available, rather than reinventing everything yourself. The question is, at the end of the day, in spite of all the developments, let us not forget that only humans understand one another. Only human marketers can understand the emotions, can understand the feelings of other people, because machine, even though they are very advanced, they are still machines. Let us not forget that human intelligence is still predominant. So we need humans to understand, to help us understand other humans. And therefore, human marketers will also be there. I would like to assure marketers, please do not forget, you will not disappear. In spite of artificial intelligence, in spite of augmented reality, you will still be there. You will still be relevant. You will still be important, because human marketers can look at human actions. They can empathize, they can understand, they can share the emotions. And therefore, what I would like to suggest is this is a very useful figure, that when you look at human behavior, the machines can see what is on the top of the ocean, but what is underneath, the values, the attitudes, these are only things human can understand and appreciate. So please be encouraged that machines are powerful, but I would like to give the encouraging message that human beings are more powerful, because only human beings can read emotions. In spite of the developments, you cannot have machines who understand human beings like us, because we go through the deeper side of human beings, the values that we hold, the attitudes that we have, the underlying motives that each shopper has. People shop for different reasons, not to just get the product or the services. So the question is, let us dive deep. I'm sure diving deep is a term that is used in the universities. I do it in my classes. We need to dive deeper into human emotions, human motives, human needs. Technology can never replace human beings. The question then becomes, human marketers will be still relevant. But of course, I'm not saying to abandon the machines. I'm not saying get rid of the robots. But how do we have a blend between the machine and human beings? The blend between humans and machine is a major challenge marketers face all over the world. I'm sure you have the same situation in Thailand. We are facing this in Myanmar too. We have to make a choice where machines are better than human beings, or when human beings are more important than machines. Because at the end of the day, please do not forget, we want to enrich the customer journey. We want to create value to each customer. And therefore, it is not a question of either or. Please do not make the false assumption that we often do, that we have to select machine or you have to select human beings. It is not an either or question. It is both. You have to use human beings where it is appropriate. You have to employ the latest technology where it is effective. So this is where human decision making comes in. In spite of the developments in artificial intelligence, human beings would make the best decisions. I would like to encourage the participants, please be empowered that in spite of all the developments, we human beings will still have to make the right choice. And please try to develop and choose the right balance between humans and machines. But please do not forget the ultimate aim is to create value for the customer. It's not for us. It is not for the companies. It is not for the technology. It is for the customer. This is what Marketing 5.0 means. And therefore, to have a better understanding, I hope you will bear with me. Please be patient, because here I would like to go deeper into the components of 5.0. It is not just moving from 1.0 to 5.0. It is not just this transition. We are talking about transformation. We're talking about mindset change. And the challenge now is we have 3 components of Marketing 5.0: predictive marketing, augmented marketing, contextual marketing. I will spend some time going each of them into detail. But in addition to these 3 components, we also have the additional overarching components of agile marketing, etc. So the question is, everything is data now. Data is very important. For marketers, let me remind you, data is what makes money. We now have to have data-driven marketing. Based on data, we moved into information. Based on information, we moved into knowledge. And based on knowledge, we moved into wisdom. Let me repeat myself. We start with data, marketing data. The data is then transformed into information. The information is then translated into knowledge. And then finally, it becomes wisdom or insights. As marketers, let us use the data, not for the data itself, but for the information, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the insights you get. Now, which data do you collect? We have data from internal sources as well as external sources. So the challenge for marketers is we have to have a data-driven marketing. And today's, in the 21st century, I'm sure in SIBA, DPU, students are being taught at big data. I understand that the Bangkok Thonburi University is represented here. I'm sure in the PhD or master's program in that university, big data analysis is also being taught. So we have to understand that the data is an ecosystem which drives business marketing decisions. It is not just for collection of data in itself. How do we make use of the data to make better marketing decisions? The second overarching is agile. We have to be very quick. Quick speed is important. Size is no longer relevant. It is not important to be big. It is important to be quick. So we have to look at things. It is not, we should not look at, we should empower the teams to decide for themselves. We should give the frontline marketers the ability to conceptualize, design, develop, and validate products. It is no longer a top-down approach that it comes from company headquarters. It must be done at the shop floor level. And only those at the shop floor understand the ever-changing market. So what we are proposing is marketers must be very agile. very quick, and marketers must be data-driven. These are the two overarching principles. Because they are so important, I would like to re-emphasize and repeat myself that marketers, business, social marketers, political marketers, health marketers, look at data and look at agility. Based on these two overarching principles, let me go now to the three components. Predictive marketing. Even before a product is launched, we now have the tools to predict, to forecast what might happen. How would the market respond? How do we influence the market? In the old days, we have to wait. We have what is called test marketing. When I was teaching marketing, we have a program called test marketing. We need to test this. But nowadays, with the technology, we have what is called predictive marketing. And I'm sure in DPU classes and in Bangkok, Thonburi universities and other universities, students are being taught predictive analytics. We now have the tools. We now have the approaches to engage in predictive marketing. The second is also contextual marketing. Context is important. How you market in Thailand will be different from how you market in Myanmar, or in Vietnam, or in Laos, or in Cambodia. Even in Thailand, how do you market in Bangkok might not be the same as how do you market in Chiang Mai. So context is very important, because as marketers, we must provide personalized interactions. We cannot say it is for everyone. It is for each one. And this is where one-to-one marketing becomes very important. It is very time-consuming. You have to be very patient. You have to have very good understanding. But contextual marketing is important. So let me repeat. Predictive marketing, we can predict what will happen even before the product is launched. After this, we look at the context of our markets. The rural market is not the same as urban market. The educated market is not the same as less educated market. The female market is not the same as the male market. So contextual marketing is important. And then we have what is now called the augmented marketing. Because of the digital technology, we can use human mimicking technology. We can use chatbots. I'm so happy today at the webinar. Through the chatbot, I get response from the audience telling me their reaction, their response. So what we now have is virtual assistant. We don't need a shop assistant. They can tell us through the digital interface, but it also provides the human-centric touch points. Please do not forget the emotional side of understanding, of warmth, of empathy. When we interact with machines, you don't want to hear this machine-like voice. We want to have a human voice. We want to hear the human warmth. So we now have what is called the augmented marketing. So data-driven marketing, augmented marketing, and predictive marketing will be the components. Let me now end by providing a comprehensive summary of my webinar. I'm sure some of you have followed my presentation well. Some of you might not really understand, but it's okay. I'm sure the organizers will be willing to share the slides with all of you if you want, which means you can review these slides at your leisure. I would like to encourage you, if you are coming from a company, please share the slides. Please be myself. Please substitute me with yourself. And then do your own presentation in your own company, in your own classes, in your own universities. I would like to encourage DPU to do this, Bangkok Thonburi University to do this, so that it spreads. The important issue in the webinar is to share the knowledge, to ensure that more and more people are aware of and recognize Marketing 5.0. In terms of the summary, Marketing 5.0, we still need human centricity. Human beings are at the center of everything. But of course, with the recent changes, we must leverage the technology that we have. So Marketing 5.0 is, as the title mentioned, technology and humanity, two elements. We base marketing decisions on human beings. We focus on human beings, and we also leverage technology. The technology we now have is so advanced. Some of the robots are human-like. The artificial intelligence, they can process data more quickly than human beings. We can communicate and deliver enhanced value. But again, to students of marketing, let me remind the basic fundamentals that marketing is nothing but enhancing overall customer experience. How do we make sure that the experience the customer gets from interacting with us is unforgettable? It is a wow experience. They would appreciate, they would become advocates. That is the goal of marketing, to turn your customer into your advocates so that they can go. You don't need to have marketing campaigns. You don't need to have advertising. All you need is word of mouth. People spreading the news. Go to that shop. Go to that place. Go to that university. This is important. Please try to enhance value of the overall customer experience. And therefore, let us make sure all of us understand our customer journey. Customer journey is very long, very painful. Some customers complain. It is not a straight path. They have to move from one direction to the other. So the question for marketers, how do we make sure that the customer journey, we understand, we map, and how do we enhance their journey through what is now called MarTech? I'm sure in CIBA and DPU, you have introduced the issue of MarTech, which is called marketing technology, to add value. This is used to improve performance of human marketers. It is not to replace human marketers. That is a message I want to give. We are not talking about replacing human beings. We are talking about supplementing, complementing, enhancing, improving the performance of human marketers. And therefore, we can use, human beings can use data ecosystems. We can use cloud computing in the companies. We can use predictive marketing so that for every dollar or baht or kyat spent in marketing investment, there's a return on investment. This is the challenge for Marketing 5.0. We have to make sure that technology for humanity means that every customer, rich or poor, urban or rural, male or female, feel comfortable interacting with us. We must provide a personalized, contextual, individual customer at point of sale. And therefore, we must create a seamless interface between machine and human beings. What I would like to encourage these CEOs who are in this forum, attending this forum, try to develop corporate agility. in your companies. Move fast, real-time response to market changes. You cannot be slow. If you are slow, your competitors will overtake you. So the question is, how do we keep abreast of the competition is important. I spent some time reviewing Marketing 5.0. I've decided to make a presentation in two parts. Before the break, I introduced the subject. I introduced Marketing 5.0. After the break, I talk about technology, the three components of Marketing 5.0, data-driven, predictive marketing, agile marketing, and the summary. Now, before I conclude, let me share something that my guru, marketing guru, Philip Kotler, reminded us. Marketing takes a day to learn. It's very easy. Unfortunately, it takes a lifetime to master. You cannot be a master marketer overnight. One webinar forum cannot do the trick. But the question is, let us learn together. Let us unlearn. Let us relearn. Let me share with you my concept. We have to look at three things. Learning, which means new things. Unlearning, getting rid of old assumptions. Relearning, learning something with a different lens, a different perspectives. Let me repeat myself. We need to encourage learning. We need to encourage unlearning. It is very difficult for educated people to unlearn because they think I have a PhD. I don't need to know anything anymore. All I know is correct. But they have to unlearn. And then finally, they have to relearn. I'm sure many of the audience participants have read Marketing 5.0, have read many books by Philip Kotler and other marketers. But let us look at what we already know in a different light, which means relearning. This is why learning, unlearning, and relearning. Now, before I hand over to the question and answer, let me briefly share, because as a teacher, I'm still teaching at the university. I would like to encourage all of you, students, business people, CEOs, ambassadors, etc. Let us not forget what Confucius reminded us. When we have a Q&A, people are reluctant to ask questions. I would like to encourage and then share with what Confucius reminded us. A man who asks a question is fool for a minute. A man who do not ask is a fool for life. Thank you so much for your attention. And I hand over the floor to the moderator, Mr. Leon Redhead. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the insightful and comprehensive content related to Marketing 5.0 from Professor Ted. Now it is time for the Q&A session. Now, I believe some of the audience have already posed some questions regarding the contents of the lecture into the chat. So I will just start by asking some of these questions on behalf of the audience. Okay, so the first question we have is related to the pyramid at the end of the first part of the lecture, and the question is: at the bottom of the pyramid, there is a much higher population, but price concern will be higher in this segment. On the other hand, there will be very low price margins. Because of this, low quality is more likely for products in the bottom of the pyramid, especially in fast-moving consumer goods. So the question is, how do businesses who try to target the segment deal with the humanity? So I think that refers to dealing with the ethics in that.
Oftentimes, thank you for the question. And I hope, Mr. Lian, I could be able to respond. Thank you for the question posed, which is a very interesting issue. First, let me refer to the pyramid. In the old days, we look at the pyramid and the apex, the top of the pyramid, is high value. And we consider the BOP, the bottom of the pyramid. In fact, the term bottom of the pyramid was developed by professors at Columbia Universities. Because in the old days, marketers tend to ignore the bottom of the pyramid market. Because they are poor, they cannot afford. But what they forget is the poor still need soap. The poor still needs cooking oil. The poor still needs rice. But of course, as the questioner rightly pointed out, they are unable to purchase high-priced goods of soap. For example, let me give you a classic example. In a sense, the poor people cannot afford to buy a whole bottle of shampoo because it is unaffordable for them. So how has the marketers responded? Rather than selling shampoos in a huge bottle of high price, they now have developed small sachets. So you see it everywhere in the villages where the shampoos are now sold in sachets. So I think the marketers are being very creative. And please do not ignore that although we have two issues, two V's, value and volume. The strength of BOP marketing is volume. If you sell at a very low price to huge numbers of people, you will get the same level of profit. So the challenge for the BOP marketing is not to lower the quality. I think that is not what we are saying. To maintain the quality, but focus on the volume and focus on the purchasing power of the rural poor and the urban poor. So it means creative marketing. We not market segmentation as we be taught in marketing classes, but we need to be creative, and we should not ignore the BOP market because people traditionally think of them that they cannot afford our goods. They can. If you price it right, if you focus on volume rather than value. Thank you very much, Lian.
Another question we have in the chat. This one comes from a student, from an audience member in Myanmar, is how can we improve digital skills and knowledge effectively for marketers who have had a lot of experience in traditional marketing, despite having difficulties in adapting and learning digital technology?
Again, thank you for this. This is very important. It relates to the situation in Myanmar. Nowadays, going digital, we now have the opportunities. There are many opportunities out there to develop digital learning because online programs are there. You can download it easily. So I would like to encourage the questionnaire, be brave, have the courage to move from traditional marketing to digital marketing. Because with the COVID and with the situation in my country, I think online marketing, digital marketing will be the issue. How do we create a digital market? How do we use the platforms that enable us to be connected with our customers and clients? And I would like to encourage, especially the young marketers in Myanmar, take the dive. Don't think, because thinking too much, you will not take action. I would like to encourage, just go deep into digital marketing. And I'm sure one thing that I would like to encourage, fail fast. That's important. Failure is not an issue. We need to have the experience of failing in digital marketing. And only then through failure, you will get the lessons learned and you can improve. So here, I need to have a mindset. I would like to encourage everyone to have a growth mindset, that we are willing to learn, we are willing to fail, we are willing to try new things, which is digital marketing. Thank you very much for the question.
For one more question, and this one is, are CLMVT countries ready for marketing 5.0? If not, how will these countries need to adapt for marketing 5.0?
Readiness, to me, is only an issue of mindset. If your mindset is ready, everything will catch up. This is why the purpose of IBERT, TPU, DBU, CIBA, for organizing this market is to change your mindset. When you say readiness, it depends how open are you for change. If you are open to change, if you are open to transformation, I think marketing 5.0 will not be difficult. The technologies are there. It might not be of enough quality, but we do have the basics to move towards 5.0. Please do not think that because we are CLMV countries among the ASEAN nations, that we do not have. Even if we do not have the technology, we have the human power, we have the intellectual power, we have the emotional power and the spiritual power to make the change. So I would like to encourage people, do not say that because we are CLMV among the 10 ASEAN countries, that we cannot do marketing 5.0. That should not be the attitude. We can learn from what the other countries have done, what Thailand has done, what Singapore has done, what Philippines has done. Use the lessons to make sure that we do not repeat the same mistakes. So my request to all of you who want to implement 5.0, do not make the same mistakes Singapore did, or Thailand did, or other ASEAN countries did. We can take advantage of the mistakes and the lessons that we learn and improve on this. This is what is called the last mover advantage. Because we are slow, we are backwards, it doesn't mean that we have to feel sorry for ourselves. We should encourage that because we are a latecomer. The word we use is a latecomer advantage. You know, we have two advantages in marketing. First, mover advantage. And the second advantage is latecomer advantage. CLMV countries are latecomers, but being a latecomer is also an advantage because we do not need to repeat the same mistakes that the other countries have made. Thank you very much for this very important question.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Ong Tun Tet, for sharing with us the very, very valuable knowledge and answering some of the questions that the audience has put forward today. So, moving things along, I would like to invite Khun Chan Saraletsuporn, member of the IBERT Executive Board, to give the closing remarks. So please welcome Khun Chan Saraletsuporn.
Thank you, Steve. Honorable Speaker, Professor Ong Tun Tet, distinguished participant, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of IBERT, I would like to express my sincere thanks and appreciation. I would like to express my sincere thanks and appreciation to all the participants from a wide range of spectrums of industrial and business audiences, from Board of Trade, Chamber of Commerce, Federation of Thai Industry, UMFCCI's member, and all the members of the CLMV countries. We have joined this forum in a full capacity. It is an honor also for us to have the presence of the Minister Councillor, Professor Dr. Thanawut, on behalf of Thai Ambassador to Yangon. Over the 2 impactful hour session, the forum have acknowledged being about the importance of marketing in all perspectives, with challenges in digital transformation toward the future humanity in conducting the business activity in general and marketing in particular, on cyberspace and human-centric. It is clearly shown that the power of digital technology can be overcome all physical obstacles and hindrances with agility. Now, all of us here have some way or another vision and realize the advantage of digital marketing in rethinking our main value of idea creation and ready to apply them to our benefit for the business and the coming post-pandemic year to be a smart society ahead. I would like to thank also to the Device Business University, Thurakit Bandit University, for joining hands with iBird in organizing this forum. And many thanks also to the Secretariat offices of all the institute concerns. We have made this forum possible without them. We cannot make this forum possible without them. I hope that all of us will take part in the second forum in the topic of marketing to different generations, which we organize on the 18th of September this year on 10 to 12 hours in the morning. Thank you again and look forward to see you on the second forum next week. Happy learning and keep asking questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kunchan Saraletsapon. Ladies and gentlemen, the forum today has come to an end. We would like to express our sincere thanks and gratitude to the audience for staying with us until now. I would like to inform you that the next forum will be held on Saturday, the 18th of September, 2021, and will run from 10 a.m. till 12 noon. The topic of next week's presentation is marketing to different generations. For those interested in joining next week's forum, please confirm your attendance with us and we will send you the Zoom link to each audience member to access the webinar. A sincere thank you again for all of you who have joined the webinar today. We look forward to seeing you again in the next one on the 18th of September at 10 a.m. Thank you all very much and goodbye.
ปัจจุบันเศรษฐกิจไทยกำลังเผชิญกับความไม่แน่นอนจากวิกฤตต่างๆทั้งในและต่างประเทศซึ่งเป็นปัจจัยสำคัญที่เร่งให้เกิดการปรับเปลี่ยนแปลงในการก้าวเข้าสู่ยุคเศรษฐกิจดิจิทัลของโลกอนาคตที่นำเทคโนโลยีดิจิทัลและนวัตกรรมใหม่ๆมาช่วยเพิ่มประสิทธิภาพของการพัฒนาศักยภาพกำลังคนและการแข่งขันทางธุรกิจการพัฒนาผลิตภัณฑ์และการตลาดดิจิทัลรวมถึงบริการทางการเงินและการจัดการระบบโลจิสติกส์ทั้งนี้ประเทศไทยจำเป็นจะต้องเร่งสร้างจุดแข็งเพื่อพัฒนาศักยภาพการแข่งขันและพันธมิตรทางการค้าอาทิเช่นกลุ่มประเทศเพื่อนบ้านที่มีแนวโน้มเศรษฐกิจโตขึ้นอย่างต่อเนื่องรวมไปถึงการหาช่องทางการขยายตลาดใหม่ๆเพื่อรองรับกลุ่มที่มีกำลังซื้อขนาดใหญ่และกลุ่มที่มีกำลังซื้อสูงซึ่งประเทศไทยกำลังจะเข้าสู่สังคมผู้สูงอายุ Aging Society และคาดการณ์ว่าในอีก 20 ปีข้างหน้าสังคมผู้สูงอายุ จะมีอัตราเพิ่มขึ้นเป็น2 เท่าของจำนวนประชากรการเปลี่ยนแปลงโครงสร้างประชากรทำให้ผู้ประกอบการจำเป็นจะต้องมีการวางแผนผู้สูงอายุที่จะกลายมาเป็นลูกค้ากลุ่มใหม่ที่มีบทบาทสำคัญในอนาคตซึ่งมีทั้งลูกค้าที่เป็นคนไทยและชาวต่างชาติท่ามกลางกระแสความเปลี่ยนแปลงที่ส่งผลกระทบต่อธุรกิจเดิมหรือนำมาซึ่งความคิดริเริ่มในการสร้างธุรกิจใหม่ให้รองรับกับความเปลี่ยนแปลงเพื่อช่วงชิงโอกาสและความสำเร็จของธุรกิจสถาบันวิจัยและพัฒนาเศรษฐกิจการพาณิชย์ Institute of Business Economics Research and Development หรือ IBER ที่จัดตั้งขึ้นเมื่อพ.ศ. 2552 ภายใต้มูลนิธิสถาบันวิจัยและพัฒนาเศรษฐกิจการพาณิชย์โดยเป็นองค์กรอิสระที่ไม่แสวงหาผลกำไรมุ่งหวังให้เกิดศูนย์รวมความคิดจากประสบการณ์ชั้นสูงทางด้านเศรษฐกิจการค้าและการลงทุนพลิกวิกฤตให้เป็นโอกาสสร้างโอกาสในการลงทุนของผู้ทรงคุณวุฒิจากองค์กรสถาบันที่มีชื่อเสียงทั้งในประเทศและต่างประเทศภายใต้ภารกิจหลักในการสร้างงานวิจัยเชิงนโยบายเช่นพัฒนาความรู้ให้คำปรึกษาต่อยอดงานวิจัยและพัฒนาขีดความสามารถในการแข่งขันทางธุรกิจพัฒนานวัตกรรมด้านเศรษฐกิจการพาณิชย์ด้วยดิจิทัลเทคโนโลยีให้กับหน่วยงานภาครัฐและเอกชนสถาบันวิจัยและพัฒนาเศรษฐกิจการพาณิชย์หรือ IBER ถือเป็นศูนย์กลางองค์ความรู้ที่ครอบคลุมในด้านเศรษฐกิจการพาณิชย์เป็นประตูเชื่อมโยงในการค้าและการลงทุนทั่วโลกเสริมพลังภาคเศรษฐกิจธุรกิจไทย Empower Thai Business และพันธมิตรเพื่อก้าวสู่ยุคดิจิทัลเทคโนโลยีและนวัตกรรมด้วยเครือข่ายธุรกิจทั่วโลก